Thanks for coming in.
Okay,
The camera's
no
going.
problem. Tell me when.
Okay, you can start now. I was just wondering what your name is.
Start.
Yep.
My name's Effie Charlie. I'm a Telugu from Fort McPherson. My parents were Christy and Jimmy Thompson, and my grandma was Effie Trundle. That's who I'm named after, and she was from around the Fort Simpson area. And my dad was Jimmy Thompson, and his dad came from Arctic Village, Alaska. His name was Joseph. We grew up in the bush, fishing, trapping, picking berries, and learning bush life from my parents. We never did live in town. The only time we went to town were when it was special days like Christmas and Easter and July the 1st, just so we could get food and that from the barge. When the barge comes through the Mackenzie from Fort Smith, I guess, I'm not sure. Anyway, they taught us to fish. My mother tried to teach us to sew, but we were too young. But I still remember. But the only part I remember well was they never talked English to us. All they talked to us was, in our language. Most of that I forgot because of living in residential school for 14 years, and you had no time to speak your language.
What school did you go to? What school did you go to?
I went to school in a Clavin. I don't even remember what year. I was too young. I don't remember how long I stayed there. And then I went to school in Fort McPherson for 1 year while they were building the residential school in Inuvik. After 1 year, I moved to Inuvik. And when we were living in Aklavik going to school, the only time we went home was June to August every year. And what we did, most of us anyway, what we did was right from town, we just went out in the bush and stayed there until we went back to school. So we didn't know the difference about town and before I went to school, I was very young, I don't know, 5, 6 years old. My dad taught us, every night he had school with us. He taught us English, math, and reading, writing. And as soon as I got to a private school, I went right to grade 3.
Wow.
So I didn't know what was the difference was this. Nobody said anything to me about the difference. Anyway, while we were there we couldn't talk our language, but they used to take us in the bush as we got older. As we got into older classes, they took us in the bush, and they had these girls and boys. It was girls together and boys together. and taught us how to set traps, and then took it back. If we caught anything, we took it back to school, and they taught us how to skin it and dry it and cook the meat and everything. That was good, but when you were there too, you weren't allowed to even speak to your brothers. You weren't allowed that. We were all separate. Anyway, after I finished school in Nuvik, I wasn't finished. I was going to take my grade 12, but I didn't want to stay in Nuvik again, so I wanted to go to Yellowknife to finish, but they refused me. I asked twice. They said no, so I just quit. Never went back. From there, I went to Fort McPherson. I stayed there 10 years just to get to know my parents. And I worked for the Hudson Bay. And I took up grading. I did this and that. And I married Effie Charlie. From there we moved to Old Crow for 10 years, just for me to get to know everything. And they taught me a lot about culture and language. Accents are different, but I learned it, and I picked up words that's just same meaning as our language, but they put CH in front of when they talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I learned a lot from there. And
what kind of cultural things did you learn there?
How to make dry meat, cook meat. I was trying to learn how to skin caribou, but it's really hard. It took me about 2 hours. I didn't even finish cutting it. I left it. But it's really hard, You have to know where to cut and how to, so you don't cut up that skin.
So you reconnected with your culture when you moved to Old Crow?
Pardon?
You reconnected with the culture when you moved to Old Crow?
I knew a little about my culture and all that because when I was home for summer too, we watched my mother how to cut fish, everything. And what they used to do is when they get moose or
Caribou.
ducks, things like that, they had a ice house underground. In the spring, my dad used to, when Mackenzie and the peel as ice break up, he takes all those ice and he put it in a cellar like underground. That's just like freezer.
Oh.
And that's where he put all the ducks, fish, meat, whatever he could.
Have you ever seen
it
one?
stays frozen all summer.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you make one of those?
He just digs a big hole underground.
Yeah.
And then he put wood around it, and then he covers it up with mud and all that, gravel, everything.
Oh.
Yeah, and then he's got a door on top and ladder down.
That makes it easier. Neat.
Yeah. And so we used to live, and then when he goes to town, he gets just the food we need, like flour and lard, oats, things like that we need.
Yeah.
And dried fruit, and that he puts in a cache. He had one that's off the ground so no animals could get into it.
Yeah.
That's the kind he had. And I don't know how many dogs he had, but that's the only way we traveled. And in summer was by boat. First time I remember we had outboard motor was 5 horse. After that it went to 9 and that's where it stayed. And he bought a big boat too, but he had to sell that to his brother Peter because he had TB and he was in the hospital. They had to take all his, I don't know how many drips they had to take out of him when he had a big surgery around his arm and he couldn't work. So he sold it. That's how we used to, after trapping is over in the spring, we used to go down the Mackenzie around and into the Clavik and then back up the Peel.
I always wanted to go to the Peel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lots of fun, but a lot of mosquitoes in summer. Then we go picking berries in August. We just had a small little patch of blueberries where we have our summer camp.
Yeah.
But from there on, it's at the mouth of the Peel into the Mackenzie part of the Mackenzie branch. There's lots of different channels. But we used to go to, every summer we used to go up to Articulate River to pick blueberries and.
How did you save them? Did you dry them?
Dry?
Did you dry the berries or how did you?
No. We just kept it, put it in that.
Cooler?
Yeah, in the cellar.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, us being kids, we just eat it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she taught us how to set snares for rabbit. But she had twine tied to the snare, and when we go look at our snare, it's gone. Here the rabbits are hanging from the willow up there.
Oh.
That way animals won't get at it. It's hanging.
Really?
I forgot how she did that. I always try and figure it out, but I can't.
Neat.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that they did long ago that they don't even remember. I guess some people remember, but I don't know. And then when my dad didn't set traps for muskrats at the mouth of the Peel. We went a little further down the Mackenzie Channel. I don't know how long it's not very far, about 8 miles, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It just went around the corner, and he built a cabin there. That's where we stayed for the spring. And there was a white man there with his wife and children. He lived about half a mile from where we had our cabin, but we always went there. He had a sawmill there, cutting logs. He made lumbers and things like that. And I remember he had a big fence. I don't know what kind of animals he was bringing up. I think they were mink, I'm not sure, because they were small. So I remember that. Later on he sold his land. I think somebody else stayed there. I never been back there until when I was up in Fort McPherson with getting to know my parents, I went down there. Gee, it was cold. I couldn't even stay in tent. It was too cold for me. Even how many blankets I had, I wasn't used to it. It's the last time I've been there. You should see all the trees and willows, all just tall around my dad's little cabin. And
Was there like women or men's roles back then? Did you have a certain role?
I remember all the men did the fishing, trapping, hunting, and all I remember is the women are always home looking after the children, cooking, working with meat, making dry fish, and sewing. They did a lot of sewing. They did. I don't remember. We hardly had clothing from school. From store. My mom always sewing things for us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And once in a while, we get in the summertime, for July the 1st, we used to get new clothing. That was for the whole year.
What if you grew?
Well, we get hand-me-downs like everybody else. We don't know about money when we were growing up. We just see, you could just go to the store and get whatever you need. I don't know.
It was just like what you need, hey? Like you need food or you need...
Yeah. And, you know, when we were kids, my mom used to take us with her when she looks at her deer or when she set traps. And she taught us how to set traps for squirrel and what do you call the other one? I don't know.
Gophers?
No, we didn't have gophers.
Oh.
Not up there. Weasel.
Oh.
Yeah. And thinking about it, you know, I can't even remember how we used to set it. Really. After my mom died, I still have 2 little traps at home. I kept it. I thought I'll get somebody to put chalk on it for me, but I still never get anybody to do that. I don't know who to ask. And when I lived in Old Crow too, it was hard for me to, you know, the old peoples, they don't know how to speak English. They just talk to me in their language, and I have hard time
Learning the language.
Like I was helping I looked after this old lady, and in her language, she told me, "Where is that kettle?" I didn't know what she was talking about. While her 2 sons were sitting there, they were laughing. I didn't know well, nobody ever told me how to say kettle. Oh, I couldn't. She got real mad at me, so I got up and I went home. And then the oldest son that was sitting there came into me, "Grandma, when you..." So I went back down to her. She really laughed at me because she didn't know I didn't understand. So that's how I learned, you know. If I didn't know, I asked how you say this and that.
So did you grow up learning your language and then you went to school?
Yes, as a kid, that's all I
New.
know was my language.
Yeah.
And then when you're in school for 14 years, you forget,
So you just relearned your language.
And
How
then
neat.
when I moved to here, me and Ben, I go to John Richard's classes for good in language too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big help because, even trying to read the Bible is so hard. It's spelled different than the way John Richard got it written. It's easier to learn it that way than the one in the Bible. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about our language is when you sit with the old peoples, they talk to you, they tell you stories. It's very interesting and funny too. Very funny. Yeah, they explain everything. They talk about years and years ago, how they traveled, how they go from, I don't know how they ever know where to go to get from Oko to Fort McPherson, or I know to go to Alaska. You just follow the river. But I don't know how they know to go over the mountains to Herschel Island. I really don't know. They're so smart. Really, I just don't know how they know where is this country in that country, because you wouldn't know. And while I was here in Whitehorse too, I went to Calgary 1 year to go to school too, but I keep getting so sick. I just fall asleep sitting up. So I went back north, went back to school the next fall. After that, I took my grade 11 up there. And I wanted to finish my grade 12 in Yellowknife, but they said no. But anyway, after I got here, I went to college, took my, upgrading. I passed that, so I went to nursing. But I didn't work in the hospital. I just did home care, looking after elders. While I go to Oak Road to do that every summer, so.
Good.
From April to September, I think. Yeah. Each year I did that, but I stopped that too because I had cancer. I beat that. I had colon cancer. I beat that.
Oh, wow.
And then
Good.
a year ago I had breast cancer. I beat that too.
Really? Wow, you're a fighter, eh?
Broke my hip. I'm okay. I don't need cane or. I exercise a lot. That's what helps. My hip.
Yep.
That's what I've broken.
My goodness. Do you and your husband speak Gwich'in all the time?
Mm-hmm.
In your home?
He speaks Gwich'in when he have to, and
I hear him on the radio. I hear him on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any kids?
Hmm?
Do you have any kids?
We had two. um, Sandra, but Sandra lives in Grand Prairie working for the oil company since 2007. She's still there. Her too, she adopted a little girl from Fort Good Hope. She'll be 10 in October. So that's good. And then she had a younger sister, but she died in 2000. But she had a son. I adopted that son. And she's got a girl, but the girl lives in Fairbanks with her dad and stepmother, stepsister, and she's got a little brother. So she's going to college, I think. Very shy.
Did you teach them how to do any of the things you learned growing up?
Who?
Did you teach them any of the living off the land?
They know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know. But the little girl, before her mom died, I used to go to Oak Crow and take care of her while her mom works at the band office. And I used to take her out, pick berries, pick flowers, and take her with me when I set snares in the spring. So we go and get ice and all that for water. So it's snow. So it was good. But she left right after her mom died. She left, and haven't seen her since. Last time I seen her was this summer when she returned from Pennsylvania, New York. She went down for a trip with her dad and stepmother. So that's where her dad is from, Pennsylvania. Anything else you want to know?
Did you have any coming of age ceremonies? Did you ever take part in any coming of age ceremonies growing up?
I can't hear.
The coming of age ceremony? Like when you reach a certain age?
No, we don't have that.
Oh.
No. I never heard of nothing like that.
Well, I just wanted to know what your story was.
There's a lot of, I remember they used to have drumming and all that, even in Arctic Red River. It's not like that anymore. Not like that.
What about, do you guys have any ceremonies, or do you go to church?
Everybody used to go to church every Sunday. The church used to be just full. No matter, we have to. As being kids, our parents say you have to go to church. It's not like that anymore too. It's not. And I remember being kid, if we see, and we live in the bush. When we go to town, we see some of them drunk. We never see anybody drunk, and we used to be scared. We don't know what is wrong with them. But I had stepbrothers too. I remember down there where they used to come around drinking. We used to hide. And my mother and my dad used to always tell us, if you drink, that's how you're gonna be. So they taught. Later on, as we grew older, they talked to us about drinking and smoking and all that. So, being teenagers, you always want to find out things. So you do it. Yeah, I knew about my dad's family. I met most of my uncles and relatives in Alaska, but I never did meet his relatives down around Fort Simpson area. Yellowknife. I don't even know if any of them are living. I went to Fort Simpson last summer and there was a trundle in the old folks home, but I had no time to go there. But they told me that she doesn't remember things too good, so I didn't get to meet her. And on my mother's side, her last name was Salou, and her uncle was, her dad was Peter Salou, and her uncle was a very big chief. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Salou, and I'm just beginning to find out who is related to her on her father's side, but on her mother's side, I don't know who to ask. It's like that. I haven't been home for so long. I just really, who would know? You wouldn't know. It's hard. Even in Artigret, I have relatives there, but most of them are gone. Only one living. She's an elder now, but I haven't seen her for I don't know how many years now. But she's still alive. I know that. We used to always go to Artigret too, but them two, their language is a little different. There's Fort McPherson, Artigret River, Oko, Fujikon. We all speak the same, but different pronunciation.
Oh.
It's really, some don't talk too fast. Some don't. It's hard, but there's some words that you understand. What else could I talk? After all this, being in school and they don't want us to talk our language, thinking about that, I'm just thinking, why are they teaching our language now? It's too late. Even us, we know our language. We don't even try and speak our language to our children. We never think of it when we're speaking. When I'm speaking to my children, I never think of talking Gujin. It doesn't come to my mind. No. But when we meet our elders and someone that we know who understands our language, we speak to each other sometimes, but in silly ways. Yeah, it is hard, and I don't understand why they're teaching our children how to try and speak our language, because I don't know how they'll get out of it, because even now they teach them in school. They come home, they don't try and talk to us in their language, in our language. So it's up to us to do that, and we just can't. Only place that we could just take them in the bush and keep them there and just talk it into them. So I don't know. Another thing too I wanted to learn was nobody taught me anything about the plants on the land. The only thing I know about is the spruce gum. We used to boil that and let us drink a little bit of it for our cold when we get a cold. And nobody said you can't drink more than that, because I learned one time I was so sick with a cold, I downed half a cup of that stuff, and I couldn't sleep all night. I couldn't wait for 8:30 in the morning so I could go to the hospital. It was here, and I just broke out in a rash. All my body just red and itchy. So I thought I had what did I have? Something for cold anyway. I thought I better take a teaspoon of this before I go to the hospital, and I did. I forgot what they call it. It's medicine for the cold. Anyway, I took that and I went to the clinic. When I got there, it was just all clear. Our skin was clear. And I was telling the doctor about it, and I told him what I did, and he told me that's that cough syrup you took. That's the one that cleared your skin. He told me, and I asked somebody about how much I was supposed to take of that wood gum, that water. He told me you shouldn't take too much, or else you'll break out in a rash. So I never did take it that much again. And I really want to find out about plants, what is good for what. And if I got a book of that, but I don't know what it is. The only way I'll know is if I go in a bush and somebody tell me this is good for this, it'll be far better than reading it in a book. Because
we're oral people.
Yeah. Seeing the plant is better than looking at it at the picture, because you would know the difference.
Yeah. That's how we learn, hey, is through seeing and doing. That's how we learn, is through seeing and doing and hearing, hey?
There's a lot of plants that's very important, but it's, I don't know who could teach me. All the elders are going to, so.
How old are you? How old are you?
I don't want to tell you.
Oh. Did you have any teachers growing up? Do you still have teachers that you grew up with are still here?
teachers?
Yeah. Do you still have those teachers that you grew up with that are still around?
No. Most of the who I learned things from, they're all passed on. But Ben teaches me too. There's some things that I don't know. I ask him and he tells me. Like I used to work on Shone FM and translating, asking people's in my language questions. There's some I don't know. They have to stop and I ask him how you say this and that, and he tells me. So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. And I wish I had all those tapes of Neda.
Yeah. Do you know any legend stories?
Legends? No.
Did they teach you through stories growing up, or how did they teach you?
Oh, yes, they
Yeah.
did, but you forget.
Yeah.
People used to sit with each other and tell stories, and we're kids, we're just playing around. We never listen. Yeah. But it's very hard when they tell story these days. They just talk about it in English and they talk about people that you don't know, so you can't remember what. Yeah. Yeah, I've been gone from my parents for a long time, and but they looked after us good. My parents and my mom and dad don't drink. Just my mom smokes, my dad don't. Very Christian. Because my uncle Peter he had a lot to do with the Anglican Church. So even we lived in the bush, we had service every Sunday with him. Every Sunday. So that was good. I don't even remember what year I went to school, I think it was 1950, I'm pretty sure, because it was in August when the mission has a boat, and it always comes up to Fort McPherson to pick up students. And it was in August, and my mom said my auntie Laura Thompson is going to take us in the bush to pick berries. So she told us to get ready, and we did. I'm pretty sure it's 1950, and we got lost too. We got lost. Anyway, we made it back home, and my mom was gone. We asked our dad, where's our mother? And he said she went to Klavik. She wouldn't. And we never asked why. We just thought she went. And anyway, me and my sister, we got on the boat and we went to Klavik to the residential school. And then the next June we got home. Here we had a little baby sister. That's what my mom went to Klavik for, that. When we got to Klavik too, we didn't get to see her.
Did you have lots of brothers and sisters?
Yeah. I have one brother. There's my older sister, me, David, Julia, Margaret, and Mary. 2 adopted.
Wow.
2 stepbrothers. I had a stepsister, she died. Another stepbrother, he died. My older sister lives in Chilliwack, and the next to my brother, younger than my brother, lives in BC Coast somewhere. She used to live in Masset, then she moved to Prince, no, not Prince. I forgot, close to Masset, no, along the coast.
Prince Rupert? Prince Rupert?
Yeah, Prince Rupert, yeah.
Nice down there.
Yeah.
Do you still make dry meat? Do you still make dry meat?
Last time we tried meat was in December when I went up. Ben got some. Yeah. It was kind of hard for me to get meat too, and it's cold, and everybody's vehicle just freeze up, so they have hard time hunting. It's too cold for their vehicle. And Caribou was very close, just on the mountain by Oko. So I was up there for a couple of weeks. Sweet of Britain, it's all went to my grandchild in my Grand Prairie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she likes that. She won't eat meat, but she likes dry meat.
It's good.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.